The film begins with the fact that the heroes, led by Finist and Ivan, dressed in modern clothes, go on a hike in the forest. Here, the heroes mock the guy, who is still deprived of their strength. Soon the group goes on the trail of a terrible monster, which turned out to be Kolobok. He attacked the village cattle and repels the heroes, but Finist hardly captures the robber. In parallel with these events, scenes from the past are shown. An orphan girl steals an apple from a young girl, after which she finds a magical flower. The orphan and the girl who pursued her are Galina and Varvara. They pricked themselves on a flower and soon found themselves under the control of a terrible creature. It is impossible to recover, so Baba Yaga offers to get rid of the girl, but Galina does not dare to do such a heinous act. After the capture of Kolobok, Ivan returns to the house, furnished with modern appliances. He does not like the conditions of ancient Rus, so the guy uses a magic sword to travel through time. One day he dreams of going there with Vasilisa, but the girl does not approve of this idea. The heroes are frightened and do not understand why modern technology is needed, so they constantly destroy it, piercing the music column and the generator with arrows and spears. A little later, Ivan gives Vasilisa a lipstick, but she does not understand the purpose of cosmetics and eats it. Going back to the present, Ivan buys new equipment and returns to his beloved Vasilisa. He also trades in things from the future to earn some extra money. Soon, the captive Chudo-Yudo is brought to the village. Ivan shows respect for the captive creature, and Finist insults Miracle Yudo, for which he immediately gets a kick in the ass. The next morning, competitions are held in Belogorie to determine the most dexterous, fastest, and strongest hero. To do this, each fighter must withstand the attack of the waterman, throw the anvil, walk along the beam, defending from the fire-breathing Gorinich, climb the wall, raise Miracle Yudo, and defeat Kolobok. Ivan does not participate, as he still does not have heroic strength and is watching what is happening from the side. None of the men can cope with their task, except for Finist, who has shown extraordinary strength. Having won the competition, the hero gives a sign of attention to Vasilisa and throws flowers to her. Ivan is jealous and gives them to Baba Yaga, which pleases the old woman. At some point, the guy gets tired of Finist's jokes and attempts to flirt with his girlfriend, and he agrees to take part in heroic games. Before the race, Ivan decides to go to the modern world to get sneakers and football protection, but the power of the treasure sword has dried up, and the portal does not open. The magician Svetozar is shocked by Ivan's short-sightedness, because he is the first who managed to break a magical weapon. Using the ingenuity, resourcefulness, and sympathy of Miracle Yudo, Ivan overcomes most of the trials. At some point, the heroic games are interrupted by Galina and Varvara, who arrived in the city, who want to take possession of the magic sword and free their master Rogaleb, who bewitched them in the distant past. Ivan recognizes Galina as his former housekeeper, but realizes that it was all a sham, as she is a powerful witch. The heroes are trying to neutralize Galina, but she uses magic and subjugates them, depriving the men of their sight. Barbara turns into an owl and goes in search of a magical sword. At the same time, the bewitched heroes are fighting with fellow villagers, considering them enemies. Barbara steals the sword, but a well-aimed throw with a smartphone allows the bird to go astray and return the weapon back. Ilya Muromets understands that the forces are unequal and asks his son to run away to hide from a powerful sorceress and her assistant. Having freed Kolobok, Ivan, Varvara, Baba Yaga, and Finist escape, taking a magic sword with them. The bewitched heroes continue their pursuit, so Baba Yaga summons a house on chicken legs and uses it as a distraction. While it is being hunted, the group hides in the water under the bark of an old tree. No one understands where evil came from and what it wants, so the old woman decides to tell the story. About 1,000 years ago, a kind sorcerer named Belogorie lived in these lands. Feeling that life was leaving him, the magician decided to gain immortality and created a magic sword. His student, now known as Koshchei the Immortal, envied his teacher and threw a stone at him, taking his life. However, the dark force turned out to be stronger, and Belogorie, absorbed by the earth, became angry at people who did not appreciate his good deeds. Hundreds of years have turned him into a powerful evil, consisting of roots, and now his name is Rogaleb. Only Ivan's sword can bring him back to life, which is why the old sorcerer turned Galina and Barbara into his servants. Realizing that only Koshi the Deathless can help defeat Rogaleb, the group turns to Vodyanoi for help to deliver them to the other side. Meanwhile, Galina and Varvara captivate the house on chicken legs and make sure that it is empty. Once on the stones in the middle of the lake, Baba Yaga asks Ivan and Finist to take on large metal rings. The guy does not have heroic strength, so the old woman uses magic berries that enhance her abilities. It soon turns out that the stones are just the tip of the iceberg, as a flying whalefish is hiding under them, controlling which the hero will be able to direct the group to the land of the dead. On the way, Ivan learns from Baba Yaga what kind of berries she uses, and using a good moment, steals a bag with them. Meanwhile, Galina and Varvara return to the Rogaleb route and report another failure. At some point, Ivan decides to eat the candy and throws the wrapper so that it enters the whalefish's airways. The fish soaring in the sky immediately feel bad, and the group understands that they need to evacuate. Everyone jumps to a snowy mountain nearby, and only Ivan hesitates. He is afraid to jump, so before that he consumes a few old woman's berries, which give him incredible strength. A little later, Ivan does not miss the opportunity to pin up Finist and demonstrates new opportunities, reporting that heroic strength has come to him. Sometime later, the group gets to a huge stone head that allows them to enter the realm of the dead. Before entering, one of the participants must answer 3 questions from the guard, otherwise they will say goodbye to their lives. Using cunning, Ivan provokes a stone head to stupid questions and answers, after which he proves the fact that he has already passed the test. Having received the Stone of Life, the guy goes inside the cave and accidentally falls into it. A moment later, he finds himself on a boat approaching his father. Ilya Muromets forbids his son to go ashore and asks to take Koshchai the Deathless. Ivan understands that his father could not cope with the attack of the bewitched heroes and said goodbye to life because of the root of evil that pierced his heart. With tears in his eyes, the guy asks Ilya Muromets to return to the world of the living with him, but the father refuses, sending his son back. Having got out of the land of the dead, the group learns from Koshchi that it is possible to defeat Rogaleb by cutting the stone under which he was buried with a magic sword. Realizing that this stone is in their home settlement, the group returns. Meanwhile, Galina uses Ivan's things to track the guy and send bats on his trail. During the night around the campfire, the group continues to interrogate Koshchei and realize that he only remembers important information after he is hit on the head. On the way to the village, Ivan does not miss the opportunity to show his strength. A little later, the guy confesses to his girlfriend that he has used up the powers of the magic sword and it will not work to cut the stone. Vasilisa is outraged that Ivan wasted magical power to travel through time, and the couple swears a lot. During the next halt, the frustrated guy plunges the sword into the ground and notices that he feeds on her power and restores the charge. Realizing that the magic sword is ready for use again, Ivan first goes to the modern world to buy a few cups of coffee. Deciding to get some sleep, the guy eats a couple more berries and hides the sword under a stone so that no one will get it. Sometime later, they are attacked by Galina and her heroes, wounding Finist. Ivan is trying to get a magic sword, but he cannot lift the stone, since the power of the berries, in fact, like the berries themselves, has ended. Baba Yaga understands what is happening and offers to run, because the forces are not equal, and they will not survive in battle. Vasilisa remembers that she has living water at home, and she will heal Finista. Ivan and Vasilisa fight again, but decide to return to the city. The bewitched heroes take out their sword, and as soon as they drop the stone, an earthquake occurs and the rock collapses, due to which Ivan and Kolobok cannot follow the others in Belogorie. Meanwhile, Rogaleb and Galina learn that Barbara betrayed them and took the magic sword. Without losing hope, Kolobok and Ivan return to the site of the last massacre to find the missing weapon. Galina overtakes Varvara and attacks her, causing the sword to fall to the ground. The mother is disappointed with her daughter and bewitches her, depriving her of her sight and making her an obedient slave. At the same time, the sword finds Miracle Yudo and, having met with Ivan, melts away from his compliments and returns the weapon. In the evening, Kolobok and Ivan return to the village and attack the bewitched heroes, easily defeating their opponents. Baba Yaga and Varvara bring the wounded Finist home and save him by healing the wound with living water. Together, the heroes fight with opponents, and Kolobok eats Barbara, who has taken the form of an owl. Ivan cuts the stone with his sword, but nothing happens because he made a mistake in his choice. Koshchei, having lost his head, points to the right stone, hiding nearby. Galina uses magic and strikes Koshchei the Immortal, as a result of which he remembers that the destruction of the stone with a sword will not deprive Rogaleb of his life, but on the contrary, will free him. Unfortunately, he realizes this too late, as Ivan splits the stone and the dark magician gains power and turns into a monster of roots. Koshi reminds Rogaleb that he is his former student and asks for forgiveness for his act. He gives him the Stone of Life in the hope that the former white sorcerer will stop, but instead, the monster inserts the stone into Koshchei and buries him alive in the ground, dooming him to eternal torment in hell. Others try to resist Rogaleb, but he is too strong and will captivate Finist, Vasilisa, and Baba Yaga with roots. Galina tries to stop Ivan and says that they are not enemies, but the guy does not believe her and continues the battle. Little Goranich diverts the monster's attention to himself, and Galina opens the hunting season for the fire-breathing creature. Ivan, with the help of a magic sword, tries to defeat Rogaleb, but he will also captivate him, intending to take the guy's life. At this moment, Ivan mentally meets with the deceased father. Ilya Muromets advises his son to remember what he lives for. Realizing that Vasilisa is his only love, and the others have become true friends, Ivan gains the heroic power hidden in the earth. Having become incredibly strong, the guy rebuffs Rogaleb and realizes that his strength is also contained in the earth, from which he draws his energy. Freed Finist, Kolobok, and Ivan work together to defeat the enemy. Gingerbread Man bites the monster and helps the new hero to use the sword to create a magical labyrinth. Ivan and Rogaleb find themselves in the modern world, where asphalt and concrete are everywhere, instead of earth. A powerful sorcerer tries to break through the asphalt layer and get to the ground, but he fails, as they ended up in a multi-level parking lot. Having warned that a dark force lives in everyone, Rogaleb turns into ashes and ceases to exist. A little later, his remains are collected by a parking lot cleaner. Everyone who was buried is freed, including the magician Svetozar, who gains freedom. Using light magic, he disenchants the heroes and drives Galina away, after which he turns into a flock of bees to pursue her. Ivan invites Vasilisa to become his wife, and the girl agrees. Soon, life in the village returns to normal. A little later, Kolobok informs Ivan about a strange find in the forest. Having gone there, the heroes find eggs from which small houses on chicken legs hatch. In the post-credits scenes, Galina asks for help from the great darkness and plunges into the Black Lake to gain sinister power. Many years ago, Ilya Muromets lived with his wife and adopted daughter. As it turned out, this girl was Varvara, bewitched by Rogaleb, and Galina, who also lost her mind because of the evil magician, was the hero's wife and Ivan's mother. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked and subscribed. See you soon.